If you're interested in glowing up, then I'm Celeste Louw, and this is Brave Enough. Your story isn't over yet. There's always moments where you think that your life's over, but the fact is you're still here. I'm still here. Confusing a bad chapter with the end of a story is a real problem because we get so focused on that end. The dreams, the plans, the relationships, the futures we grieve when life doesn't go the way we expected. We have this like pie in the sky thing about how our lives are going to be perfect and everything would have been perfect if it hadn't just been for this thing. But the fact of the matter is we don't know what the future is. You don't know what would have happened or could have happened or who you would have been or could have been. You only know who you are today. The trauma convinces us that today's pain will last forever. And if there's one thing that I can tell you is that your pain doesn't have to last forever, but you have to face it. If you don't face it, you can't heal it. So sitting in this thing of, yeah, if this hadn't happened, I would have been, and I was like this before, all of those things are pie in the sky. They're these stories that we tell ourselves. I'll never recover. I'll never trust anyone again. I'll never be happy again. It's too late for me. Well, it's never too late. I've seen people turn their lives around late in life. I've turned my life around late in life. And that's okay. You have to walk through it to get to the other side. Some of the biggest losses in our lives turn out to be these huge turning points that we look back on and go, well, actually, it's okay that that happened because I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for what happened before. We can completely change. And very soon I'm going to tell you about a story about my life. Maybe next week, who knows? About how I lost all the weight that I lost because everybody keeps asking me about it. About the difference between surviving and living. About understanding your purpose. About actually being happy with who you are. Being comfortable in your own skin. Looking yourself in the mirror and going, I'm okay. With all my faults, with all my flaws, with every day that I have to learn new things, I'm okay. The thing is, if you build your life around the things that you've lost, if you measure your identity by everything that you've lost, then you doing yourself in, because at the end of the day, what you've gained is probably more than what you've lost. If you look at it in the big picture, maybe you've gained strength, resilience. Maybe you've started to understand who you really are. Maybe you've been able to put your shattered soul back together again. Because the thing for me is you can learn to meet a version of yourself that emerges only after you've lost. And that doesn't make whatever someone's done to you or whatever life's thrown at you right. It doesn't. And it doesn't excuse it because it shouldn't happen to anyone. But you can choose what you're going to do with it, how you're going to grow from it. You can learn to meet yourself in a different place. And you can let go of who you might have been or who you could have been and decide who you are. It takes courage to start again when you don't feel ready. But let me tell you something, you're never ready. If you're going to wait until you're ready, you're never going to be ready. Nothing in life is that easy. Healing is not a straight line. Finding yourself isn't a straight line. You're going to have ups and downs and curves. It's going to be an adventure. And you can enjoy the adventure or you can bemoan the adventure. You can look for everything that could go wrong or you could look for everything that could go right. It's not even about minimizing or maximizing your loss. It's about finding yourself in the middle of your pain. We have these small, unglamorous choices that change our lives. the choice to get out of bed when you don't feel like it, the choice to smile when actually there's very little that you can think of to smile about, the choice of standing up in the morning and going, today I'm going to find something good in today, the choice of putting one foot in front of the other until you find the other side. But there's even more than that. The choice to go, why do I feel this way? And how can I change it? Everyone's life is full of seasons, and everyone has a backstory. There's seasons in our life when nothing seems to be happening and you seem to be stuck in a place that feels uncomfortable and that you can't see any way out of. But you have to walk through that season and you have to take all the lessons of life. You just got to suck the life out of life. I'm telling you, you got to look for all those happy moments. You got to be present in the moment, because things change and things will always change. Life will always throw curveballs at you. Maybe you feel forgotten or stuck or left behind or overlooked. Maybe you've forgotten how to choose yourself. Maybe you've forgotten what it feels like to just be you. But you can find all of those things again, because your life isn't over. You're still breathing. There's still hope. We often grow things about ourselves, the best bits of ourselves, in the darkest places. They start growing inside of us before we even can see it. But we have to feed that. We have to feed the things that make us uniquely ourselves and a positive influence on life. So I'm not saying, be yourself at the expense of other people. I'm saying be the best you that you can be. The you that you can look at in the mirror and go, no, it's okay, I'm okay. And sometimes you'll fall and you'll make mistakes. Sometimes you'll hurt people unintentionally. As long as you're not doing it intentionally, we grow, we learn, and we don't have to become what broke us. The other thing that I want to say is, if you aren't very far in your journey to healing, that's okay. Maybe you should stop comparing yourself to other people. I'm nearly 56 years old. Actually, I'm not. I am 56 years old. I'm nearly 57 years old. Ooh. I've been journeying to healing a long time. So maybe I'm on chapter 20 of my life. Maybe you're on chapter 3. And that's okay. Because you don't need to compare your chapter to my chapter. You don't need to be where I am right now. And I don't need to be where you are right now. But we can learn and grow from each other. And I think that's really important, because you don't need to be pressurized to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. No one has all the answers. We have to learn and grow. We have to give ourselves permission to not know what's next. We need to allow ourselves to go at, hey, I don't know what's coming at me, but I'm ready for it. I'll take it on one step at a time. And it's okay to grieve, because grief is part of healing. We need to normalize grieving. Not only normalizing grieving people, lost opportunities, lost dreams, lost versions of ourselves. We can grieve them, but we can't stay stuck in that grief. That's the main thing. Because grief can be a journey towards growth, or grief can be a place that we get stuck in. Those are two different things. Pain changes us. Pain changes everyone. And everyone has some sort of pain in their life. There's no one that's excluded from pain. And pain does change us. But we get to choose whether it hardens us or whether it teaches us. Whether we learn to be more empathetic, whether we can imagine other people's pain, or whether we get cold and hard and we just treat everyone as if they're going to hurt us. The people who walked away from us made room for new people to come into our lives. The people that let us down taught us what it feels like to be let down, and to maybe try not to let other people down. Those lessons you can only learn through hardship. You don't learn a lot in the easy times. You learn through the pain. And so one of the things that you really need to work on is learning how to trust yourself again. Because everybody asks me, how do you ever trust anyone else again? Well, you can't trust anyone else until you can learn how to trust yourself. Doing all sorts of little things, like getting up when the alarm goes off because you promised yourself you will, because that's why you set an alarm. Like completing the tasks that you start and keeping the promises that you make. And it's not always easy, and we all fall, but at least make the attempt to do that. Often when I talk about hope, people talk about what hope feels like. But hope is a decision, it's not a feeling. You choose to see the positive that could happen. You choose to walk a road that says, maybe something good is coming my way. Resilience isn't about being strong all the time. It's about being strong when you need to. It's about putting one step in front of the other. And there's a big difference between giving up and resting, because everyone's allowed to rest, but giving up is another thing. Don't quit. One more day can achieve many things. In one more day, you can learn so much. It's when you stop wanting to learn, and when you stop facing the truth, and when you stop asking yourself questions, that you stop growing. The chapters of your life that didn't make sense back then will probably make sense now. Or maybe they'll make sense in the future. Maybe the time to make sense of them hasn't come yet. So, do you recognize the victories that nobody applauds you for? That when you keep your mouth shut when you wanted to talk. That when you got up when you wanted to stay in bed. When you took chances. When you were actually terrified. You need to recognize your own victories, because it's important to celebrate the fact that you're surviving, but it's more important to celebrate the fact that life goes on and your story isn't over and you can keep trying, because every day is a new day. You might have scars, you might have damage, and that's okay. They say things about your strength. They say things about the fact that you wouldn't quit, who you're becoming because of what you've been through. Those are all things that hard times force you to learn. But you can choose not to. You can choose to stay where you are. At the end of the day, I think the hardest thing to understand is that the choice is yours. So here's some questions for you. What would change if you stopped seeing yourself as broken and started seeing yourself as unfinished? What if this chapter isn't your ending? What if it's your beginning? Your story isn't over because you're still breathing. You're still learning. You're still becoming. The fact that you're here means life is still waiting. The chapter you are in right now may be painful, confusing, lonely, or exhausting, but it is still just a chapter. Don't close the book because of one difficult page, or maybe even a whole bunch of difficult pages. The story isn't over yet. In fact, some of the best parts may still be waiting to be written. The question is, are you brave enough to continue your story? If you or someone you know needs help, contact the Tears Foundation on 08000 83277 24/7, free and confidential. If this meant anything to you, if it touched you or made you learn and grow, then maybe you want to like, follow, or share it with someone who might need it. I'll see you next week. Be brave enough.